desperate CEO brings Intern to business gala to save his company, and her social skills stuns everyone. Before we begin the story, you can help us a lot by subscribing to our channel and sharing this video. 1 medium roast with 2 shots of espresso, half steamed milk, quarter foam, a dash of vanilla, but not the sweet vanilla, the Madagascar vanilla, and just a whisper of cinnamon, but only if it's fresh ground. Emma Rodriguez muttered the complex coffee order under her breath as she carefully prepared it in the executive break room. Around her, 3 other interns lounged at the table, scrolling through their phones. "I don't know how you remember all that," Jessica sighed dramatically. "Mr. Sterling is impossible to please. Yesterday, he sent back his morning briefing 3 times. "Maybe because you spelled quarterly wrong in the title," Emma replied, not looking up from the coffee machine. "God, you're such a perfectionist," Mark rolled his eyes. "It's just an internship. We're not getting paid enough to care this much." Emma bit her tongue. Unlike them, she actually needed this internship to lead somewhere. Raising her 3 younger siblings after their parents' car accident had taught her that nothing in life was just anything. Every opportunity mattered. Her phone buzzed. A text from Maggie Chen, Mr. Sterling's executive assistant. "Emma, I'm terribly sick today. Stomach flu. Can't come in. Could you possibly—" Before Maggie could finish typing, Emma was already responding. "I'll handle everything. Don't worry about the office. Focus on getting better." "Handle what?" Jessica peered over Emma's shoulder. "Oh my God, did Mrs. Chen ask you to fill in for her?" "She's sick," Emma said simply, gathering the coffee and Mr. Sterling's morning reports. "You've been here like a month," Mark laughed. "What do you know about being an executive assistant?" More than you'd think. Emma had spent weeks studying not just the company, but Alexander Sterling himself, his schedule, his preferences, his business style. She'd grown up taking care of people. This was just a different scale. She knocked on the imposing oak door of the corner office. "Come in," came the deep, slightly tired voice from inside. Alexander Sterling looked up from his computer screen. Dark hair, slightly disheveled, his usually perfect tie loosened. At 32, he carried the weight of his late father's company on his shoulders, and it showed in the slight tension around his eyes. "Where's Maggie?" Then he noticed the coffee. "Oh, you're the intern who actually gets the coffee right." "Emma Rodriguez, Mr. Sterling. Mrs. Chen is ill today, and I'd like to fill in for her if you'll allow it." Alex studied her for a moment. He'd barely noticed her before, though he had registered that unlike the other interns, she never seemed to be checking her phone or complaining about tasks. "You've been here what, a month?" 4 weeks and 3 days, sir. I've been observing Mrs. Chen's routines, and I'm familiar with your schedule and preferences." Something in her confident tone made him pause. "Fine, but I have 17 meetings today, a conference call with Tokyo at 6 a.m., and I need the Morrison contract reviewed before." "The Morrison contract is already on your desk with preliminary notes. Your Tokyo call is set up in conference room A with the time zone calculator you prefer, and your first meeting is with the Harrison Group in 20 minutes. I've prepared their updated financial projections." Alex stared at her. When did you... "I arrived at 5:30 this morning, sir. Mrs. Chen taught me that preparation prevents panic." For the first time in weeks, Alex felt some of the tension in his shoulders ease. "Well then, Emma Rodriguez, let's see what you can do." As Emma turned to leave, she paused at the door. "Mr. Sterling, I noticed your calendar shows the Blackwell Foundation Gala tonight, but there's no +1 marked. Should I confirm whether you're attending solo?" Alex's face went pale. Robert Blackwell, the partnership that could save Sterling Enterprises. The businessmen who famously preferred dealing with family men and committed partners. "Solo? No, absolutely not solo," Alex muttered, running his hands through his hair as he paced behind his desk. Blackwell specifically mentioned at the country club that he admires men who prioritize family and commitment. He said, and I quote, "A man who can't commit to a woman can't commit to a business partnership." Emma stood in the doorway, watching her usually composed CEO unravel over a social situation. It was almost endearing. "Sir, Perhaps you could call... Call who? Alex spun around. My ex-fiancée who left me for my college roommate? My mother's book club friends' daughters who only want to marry the Sterling name? The socialites who see me as a trophy husband? Emma bit back a smile. For someone so successful in business, Alexander Sterling was remarkably clueless about his personal life. What about a professional escort service? She suggested diplomatically. To a charity gala where half of Manhattan's elite will be present? Where Blackwell will want to get to know my girlfriend personally? Alex shook his head. He's bringing his wife, Victoria. She's known for having long conversations with the partners' wives and girlfriends. She's like a human lie detector. Emma watched him pace, her mind already working through solutions. What exactly does Mr. Blackwell need to believe? That I'm in a committed relationship with someone genuine, intelligent, and... Alex paused, really looking at Emma for the first time that day. Someone who could convincingly play the role of a woman who'd choose to be with me for reasons other than money. The silence stretched between them as the obvious solution hung in the air, neither wanting to say it first. Mr. Sterling, Emma said carefully, what if you didn't have to find someone? What if you already knew someone who could handle the situation professionally? Alex stopped pacing. Emma, I couldn't possibly ask you to... You're not asking, I'm offering. She stepped into the office, closing the door behind her. Mrs. Chen chose me for this internship partly because she knows my family. She trusts me. I've been studying this company and... She paused, feeling heat rise to her cheeks. And you, for weeks. I understand what's at stake. This is highly unusual, completely inappropriate actually. So is losing the most important partnership in Sterling Enterprises history because you don't have a date. Alex stared at her, seeing determination in her dark eyes that reminded him of his father's business instincts. Emma, this isn't just about showing up together. Blackwell will look convincing as a couple. That means hand-holding, looking at each other adoringly, probably some light kissing for appearances. I can handle a performance. This is insane, Alex said, but his voice carried relief rather than protest. This is problem-solving, Emma corrected. Now, logistically speaking, I'll need appropriate attire. The gala starts at 7, which gives us 6 hours. I'll need to leave by 2 o'clock to prepare properly. Alex pulled out his wallet and handed him his Black American Express card. Take my driver, Marcus. He knows the best boutiques. Tell them to charge everything to Sterling Enterprises entertainment account. Emma took the card, their fingers brushing briefly. What should I tell them about the occasion? Tell them... Alex paused, the reality of what they were about to do hitting him. Tell them you're Alexander Sterling's girlfriend and you need to look perfect for the most important night of his life. As Emma reached the door, Alex called out, Emma, this is purely professional, a business arrangement to help the company. She turned back with a small smile that made his heart skip unexpectedly. Of course, Mr. Sterling, purely professional. But as the door closed behind them, both of them wondered why the word professional suddenly felt like the biggest lie either had ever told. Marcus, the driver, was waiting by the elevator, keys already in hand, as if he'd been expecting this exact scenario all along.
So, you're Mr. Sterling's girlfriend? The boutique manager, an elegant woman named Sophia, looked Emma up and down with professional assessment. How wonderful! We've been wondering when he'd find someone special. Emma felt her cheeks warm. It's complicated. The best relationships always are, darling. Sophia clapped her hands together. Now, for the Blackwell Foundation Gala, we need something that says sophisticated, but not trying too hard. Something that makes him unable to take his eyes off you, but also shows you're substantial enough for serious conversation. As Sophia pulled dress after dress, Emma found herself swept into a world she'd only seen in movies. Silk, satin, beading that caught the light like captured starlight. Try this one first. Sophia held up a midnight blue gown. Mr. Sterling always wears navy to formal events. I've dressed him for several galas. You'll complement each other perfectly. Meanwhile, back at Sterling Enterprises, Alex was having his own crisis. He'd called his barber, his tailor, even his mother's stylist, trying to ensure he looked perfect. For the company, he told himself. This was all for the company. "Sir?" His afternoon appointment stood in the doorway, confused by Alex's frantic grooming preparations. "Reschedule everything after 3 o'clock. Actually, reschedule everything for the rest of the week. Today needs to be perfect." Back at the boutique, Emma stood in front of a three-way mirror, barely recognizing herself. The midnight blue dress hugged her curves perfectly, the neckline elegant but not revealing, the fabric flowing like water when she moved. "Oh my!" Sophia breathed. "Mr. Sterling is going to forget how to speak." "It's just for one night," Emma said, but she couldn't stop staring at her reflection. She looked like someone who belonged in Alex's world. "Shoes next, and we'll need jewelry, a clutch, and I'm calling Henri for hair and makeup." "This is too much," Emma protested, thinking of the cost. Sophia's phone buzzed. She read the message and smiled. "Mr. Sterling just texted. Whatever she needs, make her feel like a princess. Money is no object." Emma's heart did something complicated in her chest. "He said that?" "Word for word, darling. Now, shall we make you into Cinderella?" 2 hours later, Emma sat in the salon chair as Henri put the final touches on her hair, an elegant updo with soft tendrils framing her face. "You look nervous," Henri observed, applying a final touch of lip gloss. "First big event with him?" "Something like that." Advice from someone who styled half the couples in Manhattan? He met her eyes in the mirror. "The best relationships start as friendships. The best partnerships begin with respect. And the best love stories?" He smiled. "They begin when two people stop pretending they're not perfect for each other." At exactly 6:30 p.m., Marcus pulled up to the Metropolitan Museum of Art where the gala was being held. Alex stood at the entrance in his perfectly tailored tuxedo, checking his watch the 100th time. "She'll be here," he muttered to himself. "She's the most reliable person I've ever met. She'll be—" The black town car pulled up. Marcus stepped out and opened the rear door. And Alexander Sterling's world stopped. Emma stepped out of the car like a vision, the midnight blue gown catching the evening light, her dark hair swept up to show the elegant line of her neck. She moved with a grace he'd never noticed in the office, confidence radiating from every step. Alex's champagne glass slipped from his fingers, shattering on the museum steps. "Mr. Sterling?" Emma approached, concern in her voice. "Are you all right?" Alex opened his mouth to respond, but no words came. He just stared, drinking in every detail of her transformation, wondering how he'd ever thought of her as just the intern. "You look," Emma, he finally managed, his voice rough. "Emma, you look absolutely adequate for the evening's requirements," she supplied with a small smile. "Breathtaking," he finished, still staring. "You look absolutely breathtaking." Emma felt that flutter in her chest again, stronger this time. "Shall we go in? I believe fashionably late is acceptable, but we shouldn't keep Mr. Blackwell waiting too long." As she slipped her arm through his, Alex realized with startling clarity that this was either going to be the most successful business evening of his life, or the night everything changed forever. Possibly both.
Alexander Sterling. There you are. Judge Harrison approached with his wife, both smiling warmly. "We were just telling the Blackwells about your father's incredible philanthropy work." Judge Harrison, Mrs. Harrison. Alex recovered his composure, though his hand trembled slightly as he guided Emma forward. "I'd like you to meet my girlfriend, Emma Rodriguez." Emma extended her hand gracefully. "Judge Harrison, it's such an honor. I read about your ruling on the environmental protection case last month. Brilliant legal precedent." Judge Harrison's eyebrows raised in pleasant surprise. You follow environmental law? I follow anything that affects working families. Clean water and air aren't luxury issues. They're survival issues for communities like the one where I grew up. Alex stared at Emma as she effortlessly engaged the judge in conversation about policy implications. Where had this version of her been hiding? "Your girlfriend is impressive, Sterling," Mrs. Harrison whispered to Alex as Emma and the judge discussed legal frameworks. "Most of the young women at these events only want to talk about fashion and vacation destinations." She's full of surprises," Alex managed, realizing he was learning things about Emma he'd never thought to ask. As the evening progressed, Alex watched in amazement as Emma navigated the social landscape with natural skill. She asked thoughtful questions, remembered details about people's children and businesses, and somehow made everyone feel like the most important person in the room. "How did you know that Mrs. Pemberton's daughter just started at Juilliard?" Alex whispered as they moved between groups. "I pay attention," Emma whispered back. "You mentioned it in a phone call 3 weeks ago. You said Mrs. Pemberton was worried about the tuition costs." Alex stopped walking. "You remember a phone call from 3 weeks ago?" Emma's cheeks flushed slightly. "I remember everything about—" She caught herself. "About work, company business." But the way she looked at him when she said it made Alex's pulse quicken. This wasn't just about work anymore, and they both knew it. "Emma," he said quietly, stepping closer to her in the crowded ballroom, "I need to tell you something." "Sterling, there you are!" A booming voice cut through their moment. Robert Blackwell approached with his wife, Victoria, both dressed impeccably. Robert was exactly as Alex had described: commanding presence, sharp eyes that seemed to evaluate everything, and the bearing of a man who'd built his empire through careful judgment. "Mr. Blackwell? Mrs. Blackwell?" Alex straightened, his business persona clicking into place. "Thank you for organizing such a wonderful evening." "The pleasure is ours," Robert smiled. Then his eyes moved to Emma with interest. "And you must be the young lady we've heard so much about." Emma felt Alex tense beside her. They'd been so caught up in the evening they'd never discussed what story to tell about their relationship. "I'm Emma Rodriguez," she said warmly, extending her hand to Victoria first, a subtle but correct social move that didn't go unnoticed. "Alexander has told me so much about your foundation's work. The literacy programs you've developed are revolutionary." Victoria's face lit up with genuine pleasure. "You know about our literacy work?" "I grew up in a community where access to books was limited. Programs like yours change entire family trajectories. My youngest brother is now reading at grade level because of a similar program." Alex watched as Victoria's professional smile transformed into genuine interest. Robert, meanwhile, was studying the interaction with the sharp attention of a man who'd built his fortune on reading people correctly. "What do you think of this young man of yours?" Robert asked Emma directly, gesturing toward Alex. Emma looked at Alex, and for a moment forgot they were performing. She saw the slight tension around his eyes, the way he carried the weight of his father's legacy, the kindness he tried to hide behind his corporate efficiency. "I think," she said softly, her voice carrying more truth than she'd intended, "that Alexander Sterling is a man who cares deeply about doing the right thing, even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching." The sincerity in her voice made Alex's breath catch. The way she was looking at him, like she saw past the CEO title to something deeper, made him forget they were surrounded by hundreds of people. "Well," Victoria clapped her hands together delightedly. "Robert, darling, why don't you and Alexander discuss whatever boring business things you need to discuss, and Emma and I can get properly acquainted." As Emma was led away by Victoria, she glanced back at Alex with a small smile that said, "Trust me." Alex watched them disappear into the crowd, realizing with startling clarity that somewhere between the champagne and the conversation, he'd stopped thinking of Emma as his fake girlfriend and started thinking of her as everything he'd never known he wanted.
"Let's find somewhere quieter, shall we?" Victoria guided Emma toward a less crowded corner of the museum, away from the main reception area.
I find these events can be so overwhelming. All that small talk about nothing. Emma followed, grateful for Victoria's warm demeanor. It's my first time at something this elaborate. Oh, don't let the fancy dresses fool you, Victoria laughed. Half these people are just as nervous as you are. The other half are too self-important to notice anyone else exists. They settled into elegant chairs near a quiet gallery window overlooking Central Park. Emma noticed how Victoria's shoulders relaxed once they were away from the crowd. "You know," Victoria said, studying Emma with kind eyes, "in 30 years of these events, I've never seen Robert take such immediate interest in someone's partner. Usually he just nods politely and moves on to business talk." Emma felt a flutter of panic. "I hope I didn't say anything inappropriate." "Quite the opposite. You spoke about things that matter. Most people at these events talk at us, not with us." Victoria leaned forward conspiratorially. "Can I tell you a secret? I'm terrified of these gatherings. Everyone assumes because Robert is successful, I must love being the center of attention. Truth is, I'd rather be home with a good book and our 3 cats." Emma's face softened with understanding. "When I was younger, I had to speak at my siblings' school events all the time, parent conferences, award ceremonies. I was so scared they'd figure out I was just a 20-year-old pretending to know what I was doing." "You raised siblings?" Victoria's interest was genuine now, not just polite. "My parents died in a car accident when I was 21. My brothers were 15, 12, and 8. Someone had to—" Emma shrugged, as if taking on such enormous responsibility was the most natural thing in the world. Victoria's eyes filled with admiration. "My goodness, how did you manage school and work and 3 children?" "Very little sleep and a lot of coffee. But they're amazing kids. The oldest just started college on a scholarship, the middle one is captain of his debate team, and the youngest, well, he keeps us all humble by being smarter than the rest of us combined." "And now you're starting your own career." "Trying to. The internship at Sterling Enterprises is my first real step toward building something stable for all of us." Victoria nodded slowly. "Robert and I never had children. We tried for years, but, well, life has its own plans. I think that's why I'm so drawn to young people who've had to grow up quickly. There's a strength there that can't be taught." Emma felt an unexpected kinship with this elegant woman. "Mrs. Blackwell." "Victoria, please." "Victoria, can I ask you something? How do you handle being married to someone so accomplished? Don't you ever feel like you're living in his shadow?" "Oh, my dear, Robert may be the one in the newspapers, but I'm the one who remembers his mother's birthday, mediates his fights with his business partner, and talks him through every major decision he makes. A good partnership isn't about one person shining. It's about making each other better." Meanwhile, across the ballroom, Robert and Alex were deep in conversation about market trends and expansion strategies, but Robert kept glancing toward where his wife sat with Emma. "She's remarkable, your Emma," Robert commented, interrupting Alex mid-sentence about quarterly projections. "She is," I agreed, realizing he'd been watching Emma too, noting how animated Victoria looked. "She has this way of making everyone feel important." "Victoria hasn't looked that relaxed at one of these events in years," Robert observed. "Usually she counts the minutes until we can leave. But look at them. They're talking like old friends." Alex watched Emma lean forward, listening intently to something Victoria was saying, her face showing genuine interest and compassion. It was the same expression she wore when she'd talked to Alex's stressed employees, or when she'd helped that confused delivery driver find the right office earlier that week. "How long have you two been together?" Robert asked. Alex's heart skipped. It's still relatively new. The best relationships are often the ones that sneak up on you."
I met Victoria when she was temping at my company 32 years ago. Smartest person in the building, but nobody bothered to notice because she was just a secretary. Alex felt something click into place. She was right there all along. Exactly. Sometimes the most extraordinary people are hiding in the most ordinary places. Across the room, Emma and Victoria were walking back toward them, both laughing about something. Victoria's arm was linked through Emma's like they were old friends, and Emma was glowing with confidence. As they approached, Emma caught Alex's eye and smiled. Not the polite smile she'd been wearing all evening, but the genuine, radiant smile he'd only seen a few times in the office when he thought no one was looking. "Darling," Victoria said to Robert, "you absolutely must continue your conversation with Alexander soon. Emma and I have discovered we have so much in common." And then, without warning, Emma stepped directly up to Alex. Before he could process what was happening, she rose up on her toes and pressed a soft, brief kiss to his lips. "Querida," she said, using the Portuguese endearment nadfully, "why didn't you introduce me to Victoria sooner? We have so much in common." The kiss lasted only a second, but it left Alex completely speechless, his heart hammering against his ribs. Emma's eyes sparkled with mischief and something deeper, something that looked very much like affection. Robert and Victoria exchanged delighted glances, both charmed by the display of easy intimacy. "Well," Robert chuckled, "I think this evening has been even more successful than we hoped." The silence in the car was deafening. Emma stared at the city lights outside, while Alex sat across from her, bow tie undone, running a hand through his hair. The kiss had happened 3 hours ago. 3 hours of mingling, dancing, pretending nothing had changed. "Emma," Alex finally said, "about what happened. I'm sorry. I thought it would help sell the performance. I should have asked first." "Emma!" "I know it was unprofessional, inappropriate. Stop." His tone was gentle but firm. "I'm not upset." She blinked. "You're not? Are you kidding? It was brilliant. Robert was charmed. Victoria adored you. That kiss convinced them we were real." Emma exhaled, relieved. "Really? Really? And you were incredible tonight. Not just the kiss. The way you talked, how you made everyone comfortable. You were born for this world." Color rose to her cheeks. "I just tried to be myself." "Exactly," he said softly, shifting closer. "Tonight I saw you, and I realized I've been blind for weeks." The car slowed in front of her apartment. Neither moved. "Alex?" she whispered, using his first name for the first time. "Tomorrow, do we pretend tonight never happened? Do we?" His eyes searched hers. "Do we pretend I didn't spend the whole evening falling for my own fake girlfriend?" Emma's breath caught. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Do we pretend I'm not thinking about kissing you again, but this time not for an audience?" Her voice trembled. "And what would that kiss be for?" "For us," he whispered, leaning closer. Their faces hovered inches apart, breath mingling. "Emma." "Yes? I think I'm—" "Excuse me, Mr. Sterling." Marcus's voice broke in through the intercom. "Parking enforcement approaching." They jumped apart. The moment shattered. "Right," Alex said, clearing his throat. "Emma, you should— Yes, I should go." "Thank you," he added formally, though his eyes betrayed him. "For tonight? For everything." Hand on the door. She paused. "Alex?" "Yeah?" "This was the most amazing night of my life." Before he could reply, she was gone, disappearing into her building. Alex slumped back, still staring after her. "Rough night, sir?" Marcus asked. "Marcus," Alex murmured, "I think I just made either the biggest mistake of my life or the best decision I'll ever make." In my experience, sir, the best decisions usually feel like mistakes at first. Meanwhile, Emma leaned against her apartment door, touching her lips where Alex had almost kissed her. Her brother's TV murmured from the living room, but she couldn't explain what truly happened. That she'd spent the night pretending to be in love, only to discover it wasn't pretend at all. Her phone buzzed. A text from Alex. "Sweet dreams, Emma. See you tomorrow." She typed back, "See you tomorrow, Alex." And as both lay awake replaying every moment, one truth was clear. In the space of a single perfect fake kiss, everything had changed.
One medium roast with 2 shots of espresso, half steamed milk, quarter foam, Madagascar vanilla, and just a whisper of cinnamon. Emma recited Alex's order under her breath, her hands trembling. Every time she blinked, she felt that almost kiss in the car. "You're here early." Emma spun around to find Maggie Chen in the doorway, perfectly composed. "Mrs. Chen, you're feeling better?" "Much, thank you. Though I hear I missed quite an eventful day." Maggie's smile suggested she already knew. "How did everything go with Mr. Sterling yesterday?" Emma's cheeks flamed. "Fine. Very professional." Accepted the coffee. "And the Blackwell Gala, he managed to find appropriate companionship?" "Yes, he found someone." "Excellent. Mr. Sterling needs someone who understands what he really needs." With that, Maggie left, leaving Emma rattled. Minutes later, Alex stepped into the hallway, adjusting his tie. Their eyes locked. "Good morning, Emma," he said neutrally. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling." Her voice came out softer than intended. "I trust you slept well?" "Very well. And you?" "Excellent. Restful," he replied, though he ran a hand through his hair, his nervous tell. They stood frozen, tension thick. "Your coffee is on your desk," she murmured. "Right, coffee." He didn't move. "Emma, about last night." "Emma, Jessica burst in. OMG, you missed the craziest thing. Mr. Sterling looked like he was going to a funeral, then left like he'd won the lottery. And Marcus said he went to a gala. Can you imagine him at a party?" Emma and Alex exchanged a glance. "I'm sure Mr. Sterling handles social events very professionally." "Professionally, yes," Alex echoed, eyes lingering on her. She blushed. "I just did what was needed." "You exceeded every expectation." His voice was low, sincere. Jessica was oblivious. "Hey, want to grab lunch later?" "Emma, I was hoping we could discuss your performance review this afternoon. Advancement opportunities." "Advancement?" Emma breath caught. "Your work showed me you're capable of more responsibility." His tone was professional, but his eyes weren't. "That's amazing," Jessica squealed. "She's much more than an intern," Alex said quietly. Emma's knees nearly buckled. Then Maggie reappeared holding a note. "Mr. Sterling, Robert Blackwell's office just called. They'd like to invite you and your girlfriend to dinner tomorrow." Emma's mug slipped, shattering. Alex went pale. Jessica gasped. "Your girlfriend?" Jessica whispered. We... Alex stammered. "It's not what..." Emma began. "We're not..." they both said, then burst into nervous laughter. Maggie beamed. "Oh, my, what did I miss?" Emma bent to clean the mess, Alex kneeling beside her. Their hands touched. "I can explain," Emma whispered. "We can explain," Alex corrected. Maggie smiled warmly. "Children, I don't think you need to explain anything at all."
"Fiancée?" Alex's voice cracked as he stared at Maggie in his office. "You told them Emma was my fiancée?" Maggie sat across from him, perfectly calm. "Mrs. Blackwell asked about the lovely young woman from last night. When she mentioned how perfect you two looked together, I got carried away." "Carried away?" Emma paced behind his chair. "We pretended to be dating for one night. Now we're engaged?" "Well, you certainly looked engaged," Maggie said with a smile. "The way you two were staring at each other this morning, I assumed it was the natural next step." Alex ran a hand through his hair. "This is a disaster. Robert Blackwell thinks I'm engaged. He's invited my fiancée to dinner. When he finds out—" "Who says he has to?" Maggie interrupted smoothly. "We're not actually engaged," Emma explained. "Not yet, but stranger things have happened. Your parents, Emma, got engaged 3 days after meeting." Emma froze. "How do you know that?" "It's my job to know everything about everyone here. Now, you have 24 hours to decide. Keep pretending or stop pretending." When she left, silence filled the room. "We could cancel," Emma suggested. "And throw away the biggest deal in Sterling Enterprises history?" Alex shook his head. "If we tell the truth, Robert will think I'm dishonest or desperate. Either way, he'll walk." Emma sighed. "So we go to dinner, as an engaged couple. Unless—" Alex's eyes locked on hers. "Unless you can't handle pretending one more night." Her pulse jumped. Pretending what, exactly? He stepped closer, gently cupping her face. "That you're in love with me. That you've agreed to marry me. That when I look at you like this—" Emma's breath caught. "It's real." "Alex." "Because I'm not sure it's all pretend anymore." A knock at the door cut through the tension. Marcus appeared. "Sir, I'm here to take Miss Rodriguez shopping, as requested." "I didn't." "I did," Maggie's voice floated in. "An engaged woman needs a ring and something special to wear." Hours later, Emma sat in the car staring at a velvet box. Inside sparkled a perfectly cut diamond ring. "Mrs. Chen has good taste," Marcus said. "This is insane. I used to be an intern yesterday. Today I'm trying on engagement rings." "Life moves fast, Ms. Rodriguez." At 7 sharp, Alex arrived at her apartment, adjusting his tie nervously. He froze when she opened the door. "You look beautiful. And you look nervous." "Terrified," he admitted. "But Emma, what I feel for you, it's not pretend." Her fingers trembled as she straightened his tie. "I've been here all along, maybe even falling for you, but you never really saw me." "You're wrong." He caught her hands. "I see you now, and I can't look away." Their faces drew closer until Marcus cleared his throat outside. "We should leave if you want to avoid traffic." They pulled apart, breathless. Emma grabbed her purse and the ring box. As they left, she wondered, was this dinner the start of something real or the most beautiful mistake they could make? Either way, there was no turning back.
"Wait," Emma said as they sat in the car outside the Blackwells' townhouse. She reached for Alex's collar, fingers brushing his neck. "Your tie is crooked." Alex froze, chest tight as her hands smoothed the silk. "There," she whispered. "Perfect." "Emma," Alex murmured, voice rough, "where have you been all my life?" Her eyes locked with his. "I've been right here, waiting for you to see me." "God, I see you now. I can't stop looking at you. I can't imagine my life without." The door opened. "We've arrived, sir," Marcus announced. Their moment shattered, Alex offered his arm. "Ready?" Emma slipped on the ring. "Ready." The Blackwells' home was warm and welcoming. Victoria greeted them with open arms. "Emma! Alex! Robert is eager to continue your conversation." At dinner, Robert raised his glass. "It was wonderful meeting you both last night. Victoria hasn't stopped talking about you, Emma." Emma smiled. "The feeling is mutual. Thank you for including me." "Well, we certainly couldn't celebrate without the bride-to-be," Victoria exclaimed. Alex and Emma froze. "Celebrate?" Alex asked. "Your engagement, of course," Robert beamed. "When Margaret called, she told us the wonderful news. Congratulations." Emma's heart raced. Alex paled, then reached for her hand. Yes, it's very new. We've only told close family and friends. That's why we wanted dinner tonight, Emma added quickly, to share the news with people who've become important to us. Victoria clapped. Robert, champagne! This calls for celebration. When Robert left, Victoria leaned in. Emma, dear, when did he propose? Emma faltered, glancing at Alex. It was yesterday, Alex said softly. He looked at Emma with startling sincerity. After the gala, I realized I couldn't wait another day to ask her. Emma's breath caught. For a moment, she almost believed him. How romantic, Victoria sighed, and the ring, classic and elegant just like you. Robert returned, pouring champagne, to Alex and Emma, to finding love when you least expect it, and to the courage to commit. To commitment, Victoria added warmly. They toasted. Emma blinked back tears. The word commitment struck deep. Alex's gaze on her was so tender, so real, that the line between pretending and truth blurred completely. Now, Robert declared, we insist on a proper engagement kiss. Emma and Alex stared at each other, the moment thick with unspoken feelings. Alex stepped closer, framing her face. Emma, he whispered, is this okay? She covered his hands with hers, heart racing. Looking into his eyes, she realized this wasn't pretense. It was love. Real, undeniable love. Yes, she whispered. He kissed her, slow, tender, filled with everything they'd been holding back. When they broke apart, Emma's eyes shone, and Alex looked like a man who'd found everything he'd been searching for. Beautiful, Victoria sighed, dabbing her eyes. Robert lifted his glass again. May you always look at each other just like that. Alex and Emma didn't look away, because now it wasn't an act. It was the truth. So you're apparently engaged now? Diego, Emma's youngest brother, looked up from his homework as she entered their small apartment, still wearing the ring. It's complicated, Emma sighed, collapsing onto the couch. Is he treating you well? Carlos, the middle brother, asked, protective as always. Emma thought of Alex's hands on her face, his kiss, his whispered words. Yes, he treats me very well. But that had been 2 days ago. 2 days of silence. Alex had flown to Chicago for emergency meetings. He'd only sent one text. Business emergency. Will explain everything when I get back. Nothing more. Emma stared at the ring. She'd meant to take it off, but couldn't. Emma, Miguel, the eldest, emerged with textbooks. You've been staring at that ring for 20 minutes. Want to talk? I think I made a mistake, she whispered. Her brothers exchanged worried looks. What kind of mistake? Diego asked gently. I fell in love with someone who was just using me to solve a business problem. They listened as she told them everything. The gala, the fake relationship, the Blackwell's dinner, the kiss that felt like a promise, and the silence that followed. He got what he needed, she said bitterly. Now he doesn't need to pretend. Did he say that? Miguel asked. He didn't have to. His silence says everything. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Alex paced during a call with his lawyers. I know the acquisition's important, but I need to get back to New York tonight. These meetings could take the rest of the week, one replied. Alex glanced at his phone, at the unsent texts to Emma. How could he tell her by message that he thought of her every moment, that he nearly walked out of the biggest deal of his career just to return to her? I'm taking the red-eye home, he decided. Some things are more important than business. Back in New York, Emma tried to focus on work. Maggie appeared with tea. He'll be back tomorrow, she said gently. It doesn't matter. Doesn't it? Maggie pressed. Emma looked up, eyes wet. I believed in a fairy tale. But he's a CEO, and I'm just an intern who helped him once. Emma Rodriguez, she said firmly. In 30 years, I've never seen Alexander look at anyone the way he looks at you. He looked at me like I was useful. He looked at you like you were everything. If that were true, he would have called, Emma said, pulling the ring from her finger. Here, the performance is over. She placed it on Maggie's desk and walked away. That night, Emma sat alone, staring at her phone. She had given Alex her trust, her heart. In return, she'd gotten silence. At 11:47 p.m., she turned off her phone. Some fairy tales, she realized, were too beautiful to be true.
Emma, I need you to come with me to an important meeting, Maggie announced the next afternoon, appearing at Emma's desk with her purse and car keys. I have work to finish, Emma hesitated, but Maggie only smiled knowingly. Trust me, some things can't wait. Within minutes, Maggie was guiding Emma through the conservatory garden, deep in Central Park, toward a secluded clearing awash with blooming flowers, fairy lights twinkling overhead. Emma clutched a small velvet ring box. Margaret had pressed it into her hand with a gentle, "You'll want this back." Emerging into the garden, Emma stopped short, breathless. In the heart of the clearing stood Alex, his navy suit pristine, dark hair slightly tousled, muscular build imposing but softened by the hope and anxiety in his eyes. "Emma," he said, voice trembling, "thank you for coming." She approached, nerves frayed. "I wasn't sure I'd ever see you again after Chicago." Alex stepped closer. "I owe you so much more than silence. I didn't text or call because I was afraid that if I heard your voice, I'd drop everything for you, that you'd know how much you mean to me before I understood it myself." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Margaret gave me this," she whispered, holding up the ring box. Alex took the box gently. "When Margaret chose this ring, she saw something I was only just beginning to understand, that you're the woman I can't imagine living without." He dropped to one knee, hands slightly shaking. "Emma Rodriguez, we've done everything backwards. We pretended before we were real, fell in love before we even knew each other's middle names. But I know the things that matter. You make the perfect coffee. You challenge me. You see the best in the world, and you make me want to be worthy of the love in your eyes." He opened a box, revealing the stunning solitaire diamond ring, perfectly cut, not enormous, but radiant and beautiful. It was the same ring Emma had worn at the Blackwells' dinner, the one Margaret had chosen, now returned to her for real. Emma's breath hitched as tears rolled down her cheeks. "Margaret picked this for you before we even knew what we needed," Alex continued gently. "She believed in us. Maybe she saw what I couldn't yet, that sometimes the right person is right in front of you, waiting to be seen." Emma knelt, taking Alex's hands. "I love you," she whispered, voice shaking. Alex slipped the ring onto her finger with reverence. "Will you marry me, Emma? Not for business, not for show, for us, for real." "Yes," she breathed, laughter and sobs mixing as sunlight filtered through the trees, fairy lights glowing around them. Alex stood and drew her close, their kiss deep and true, their journey finally, truly, real.
1 medium roast with 2 shots of espresso, half steamed milk, quarter foam, Madagascar vanilla, and a whisper of cinnamon. Emma smiled as she prepared Alex's coffee on their wedding morning in the kitchen of their shared apartment. "Are you seriously making my coffee at 6 a.m. on our wedding day?"
Alex appeared, hair tousled in pajama pants and a Sterling Enterprises t-shirt. "Some traditions are sacred," she grinned, handing him the cup. "Besides, my husband-to-be needs proper caffeine." Alex pulled her close. "Mrs. Sterling-to-be? You don't have to take care of me anymore. You'll be VP of Client Relations soon with your own assistant." "I'll always take care of you," Emma said, kissing him softly. "That's what love is." A year had passed since his proposal in the garden. A year of planning, finishing her MBA, navigating work and love. The Blackwell deal had sparked 3 more contracts. But what mattered most was learning to love each other in all the ordinary, extraordinary ways. "Nervous?" Alex asked. "Excited," she corrected. "I've waited my whole life for this." "Even when I was your impossible boss?" Emma laughed. "Especially then." A knock interrupted them. Maggie's voice rang out. "Emma, your brothers are here with the flowers and the makeup artists arrived. Alex out. It's bad luck to see the bride." "We live together," Alex protested. "Tradition applies," Maggie declared. Alex kissed Emma once more. "I'll see you at the altar, Mrs. Almost Sterling." 6 hours later, Emma stood at the conservatory garden, the same place Alex had proposed, now transformed with white silk and roses lining the stone path. "You ready, sis?" Miguel asked, offering his arm. "I've never been more ready," she said, adjusting her gown. The music began. Emma walked down the aisle, eyes only on Alex. He looked devastatingly handsome, but it was his expression, pure devotion, that made her breath catch. At the altar, he whispered, "You look perfect." "You clean up pretty well yourself, Mr. Sterling." During vows, Alex spoke first. "Emma, I thought I wanted success, respect, security, but I was missing the most important thing, someone to share it with. You're my best friend, my partner, the woman who makes me want to be better. I promise to love you, protect you, and make your coffee exactly right." Tears filled Emma's eyes. "Alex, you asked me once where I'd been all your life. The truth is, I was here, waiting. You gave me not just dreams fulfilled, but love that makes me braver, stronger, happier. I promise to love you, support you, and remind you every day that it was never about the success, it was always about your heart." When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Alex kissed her with such joy that guests wept. At the reception, held at the museum where their story began, they danced their first dance. "Any regrets?" Emma asked. "Just one," Alex teased, "that I didn't ask you out sooner." She laughed. "We did everything backwards anyway. Fake engagement, real love, business, marriage. Why start being conventional now?" "Good point, Mrs. Sterling." "Mrs. Sterling," she repeated, smiling. "Yes, I think I'm going to love being married to you." "As I will. Every day of our lives," Alex said, kissing her again. As they danced, Emma realized the best love stories weren't about instant sparks. They were about 2 people brave enough to pretend, only to discover the love was real all along. And their forever had only just begun.
I hope you enjoyed this story. Please tell us how you rate it from 0 to 10. Hey, subscribe to be notified when we release new stories. Click the like button and share with anyone you think might also like it. See you next time.